an article review presentation of 6th Group. Dr. Antonio de Morgas, Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas. From blood compact, the bloodstream to bloodshed.
To start off our report, I would like to share Martin Luther King Jr., an African-American activist, quotation. No? He stated that, "We are not makers of history. We are made by history." No? His saying implies that sa kapanahonan daw natin ngayon, which is the modern world, no? It is rare or bihira na lamang na magkaroon or mag-come up ng original ideas, no? Kung meron man, it is sparse, no? It is rare, super bihira, no? And that along with this daw, society must learn and rely from our own history, no? From our own past to come up with these new innovations and inventions, no? Kasi naniniwala siya na the past can offer valuable perspective na either makakatulong sa ating mag-prevent or mag-solve ng mga conflicts na pwedeng mag-arise sa sarili nating community. Dr. Antonio de Morgas' identity. No? Our group is to review Dr. Antonio de Morgas' Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas, chapters 1 to 5. No? For those of you who don't know, sa mga hindi pa nakakaalam dyan, de Morga is a Spanish historian, soldier, lawyer, and a high-ranking official for 43 years during the Spanish colonization of the Philippines. No? He is a principal author of the Sucesos and sinulat niya yon to chronicle or bigyang tala yung mga mahalagang kaganapan, mahalagang pangyayari, yung mga tagumpay na nakamit ng mga Kastila, no, during their conquest in converting the Philippine Islands into Christianity and eventually colonizing it. Morgas' Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas, a first-hand account of the early Spanish colonial venture. In chapters 1 to 5 of the Sucesos, no, naglalaman to ng first-hand accounts, pwede natin ituring na primaryang batis from 1493 up to 1603 na binibigyang detalyong Spanish colonization of the Philippines, no, at sa ating archipelago. In an attempt to further deepen our understanding of the Philippine history during the pre-colonial and colonial rule, aming gagamitin ang Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas ni de Morga bilang resource materials of primaryang batis in analyzing the events happening during the period.
The first 6 chapters of Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas, or the events in the Philippine Isles by Morga, focus on the discoveries, conquest, leadership, pacification, subjugation, governor-generals, accomplishments, and other events during the Spanish regime in our country. The Eastern Islands. Before the arrival of the Spaniards, the Filipinos already had their forms of government, which is governed by Rahas, Datus, or Sultan. The year 1521 was when Ferdinand Magellan reached our country, the same year when he failed to seize our land, for the people of Mactan defeated them. Spain sent more expeditions to the Philippines in its desire to conquer it. Among these expeditions, the most successful of all was Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, year 1564. He established the first Spanish community in Cebu and served as the first governor of the Philippines. From here, they expanded their territories to include Manila, which became the capital of the new Spanish colony and Spain's major trading port in East Asia. Dr. Francisco de Sande. The Spaniards spread Christianity. This replaced animism, the old religion of ancient Filipinos. In 1575, Dr. Francisco de Sande was appointed as the governor and captain of the Philippine Islands. Under his rule, the submission and pacification of the islands resumed. He established the royal city of Nueva Cáceres, now known as Naga City. Gonzalo Ronquillo de Peñalosa. In the year 1580, Don Gonzalo Ronquillo de Peñalosa was appointed governor of the archipelago for life. He will never be replaced, not unless deceased. This revealed the kind of political system wherein some of the practices or ideologies are also adopted by other leaders in history. Santiago de Vera. May 1584, the Audiencia President Santiago de Vera discovered the plan of rebellion and insurrection among the native chiefs of Manila and Pampanga. These terms for the places an uprising took place, but they were not successful. One of the significant structures during that time is the fortress of Nuestra Señora de Guia, known today as Baluarte de San Diego. It was built within the city of Manila on the land side. Gomez Perez das Marinas. Year 1590, under the governance of Governor-General Gomez Perez das Marinas, he accomplished the submission of the Audiencia of Manila, establishing paid garrison, walling of the city, building of Cavalier, increased the trade in China, pacification of Zambales and the province of the Pintados, and building artillery in Manila. As early as 1590, leaders already laid out their platforms for the good of their constituents. He was considered as inspirer of them all because of his responsible leadership. Francisco Tello de Guzman. On June 1, 1596, Francisco Tello de Guzman took over as Governor-General of the Philippines. During his term, the Audiencia Real, a trial and appellate court during the Spanish colonial regime, was re-established. The Jesuit Seminary of San Jose was also founded during his tenure. He served as the Governor-General until May 1602, and de Guzman died in Manila in April 1603. For the group summary, we found out that the first 6 chapters of the text are centered on politics and the achievements of the Governor-Generals during their respective terms.
For the analysis and evaluation, Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas is based on personal experiences or on documentation from eyewitnesses of the events described. Rizal, on the other hand, is a secondary source of the book due to his annotations, where he gave a view and standpoint about what happened to the Philippines back then and knew what needs to be done. According to the annotation of Jose Rizal, he gave highlights about the religion spread by the Spaniards when they arrived in the country with these 2 lines. Rizal disagreed to the idea of Morga because he generalized almost everything what the Spaniards have made to the country, like religion. Rizal wants to note some of the places were not colonized by Spain or others made a strong force to retain the freedom. He also made a clear argument to Morga's claim. Rizal explained how one-sided the book was, that it did not clearly state about other parts of the places not colonized by the Spaniards, and claimed those places are true civilized natives. Well, in fact, those islands colonized were also civilized with artillery and the system of government established in the communities. Whereas Ferdinand Blumentritt also wrote a preface emphasizing some salient points where the Spaniards have to correct their erroneous conception of the Filipinos as children of limited intelligence. The first one is, Filipinos were an inferior race. The second, Filipinos were not ready for parliamentary presentation and other reforms. And for the third, denial of equal rights can be compensated by strict dispensation of justice. Rizal pointed out in this statement that ever since then, the natives are nothing against the strong force brought by the Spaniards, that there was already a feud between them, as mentioned in one of his annotations. The idea of Rizal about the state of the Philippines before was at peace, but everything changed when colonizers came and colonized the country bit by bit. He remarkably noted information in the book about how Spaniards colonized other islands and made ties with other natives. Rizal refers to the following annotation is significant as to how civilized the people back then, even before the Spaniards came.
D. Conclusion. As annotated by Dr. Jose Rizal, this document is significant in social sciences, example history, anthropology, sociology, and others, as it proves the reliability of the information that we use and study today in terms of Philippine history. Rizal's annotations are widely used to counterfeit the hearsays and hoaxes we studied before, importantly as seen in Chapter 8, The Way of Living of Pre-Colonial Filipino Natives. It also serves as a jigsaw puzzle piece that serves the truth and the gaps of history that we need to know today to link the present and the future. Rizal's intention of publishing the book and adding to it lengthy annotations was clear. He wanted to prove through employing a reputable work that the people of the Philippines did possess a high level of culture and morality before the arrival of the Spaniards, did have a mastery of distinct handicraft art, as perhaps in ship construction, did develop a flourishing trade, and did maintain good contact with the outside world. Knowledge of their past should strengthen the self-confidence of their countrymen and promote their political, historical, and scientific growth.